This is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Walchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
And we are back. Friday Night Stars overtimes, and let's get things started with some of the best plays that we've seen all night. How about that one?
Rumble, baby, rumble.
78-yard strip sack for a touchdown. Frisco and the Raccoons on the road taking on Lovejoy. Get things underway that way. Let's go to a great punt from Flower Mound Marcus and Louisville.
Oh.
Look at this thing roll.
It's the Farmers.
Look at this thing all the way to the
fight,
defense.
they fight.
Special teams.
Let's go back to Lovejoy.
Back to the quarterback. Give it to
Frisco.
me. Oh, Frisco Raccoons with the triggeration.
And then finally,
Boom.
one more. Look at the ref.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes. Just absolutely takes one. We've got a lot of things going on. Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
It's senior night, boys.
Is everybody already that hype about what's going on
overtime.
here?
Oh, my gosh. It's the end of the regular season. It is senior night for us.
Playoffs are on the horizon, Kyle. I mean, my goodness.
And we're sharp.
Yeah, we are sharp.
And we're
Look at
sharp.
the new swag.
Good call, Heckma. We do look incredible.
Bob
saying.
Lilly Promotions hooked us up with some pretty cool
That
swag.
is
Go
so
check
nice.
out BobLillyPromo.com. We'll tweet it out after the show and everything as well. But we've got some new jackets going on. But most notably, let's take a look at where we are as Whataburger Friday Night Stars around the DFW area. Look at all the games that we've got people at right now that we're going to be checking in with. A lot of games still going on. Of course, most of the games still going on. None that I know of have gone final. But most of these games are either out of hand, one of which, Argyle and Salina. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Argyle, holy cow, they have put up some numbers.
Kenny Chesney never saved the day?
He has not saved the
showed
A yet.
I think he saw how bad Argyle was up on Salina and said, I'm canceling.
He stood up the crowd.
Bobcats didn't
He
show
may
up
have.
tonight. Why am I showing up?
Bold move,
Yeah,
Kenny.
Bo Hugaboom showed up, though.
Yeah,
boy,
he
did he.
did.
That's
He
for
always
sure.
does.
7 touchdowns in the first half for
Guys,
Hugaboom.
you know what? In 9-6A,
Hugaboom alone?
we're monitoring 3 games there in 9-6A for a playoff spot. McKinney, they've got to win to have a chance to get in. Plano, they win, they get in. Not listed on there. With Plano East and Jesuit, which we're also monitoring. East wins, they're in. All 3 of those teams have been losing at some point tonight. Does anybody want to make the playoffs?
Doesn't look
Yeah.
like it.
I do.
Yeah. Good, Eric. You got it going. Yeah, we've got Frisco and Lovejoy. We saw some of the highlights from a crazy game, including the strip sack, the big-time wide receiver touchdown pass back to the quarterback.
And the referee that, I don't know, did he get concussed?
That was in Indy. That was with
with
Independence and Frisco Centennial over at Toyota Stadium. We have not had an injury update on that referee.
Gotcha.
I think he's fine, man. I think he got up and
He just
was
shook
there
it
for the
off?
next play. Yeah, no big deal. He's all right.
He said it's week 10,
really the
playoffs
biggest
on the
thing.
line.
That's why you
let's
lift all
ride.
them weights. I'm here. I'm ready to call the game. I took a hit. I'm picking myself off the grass. Let's go.
I think they subbed him out after that. It looked like they
Take a couple plays off.
You've got a
Go
lack
get a
of
water
faith
on the
for the toughness.
sideline. Yeah, figure some things out. But guys, first
He didn't get out of the
Take a
way.
knee, take a knee,
He just
take a dive.
kept waiting on it, backpedaling. It's like, step aside.
Yeah, I mean, there was running right to him.
Watch your face, bro.
Yeah, definitely. It could have been avoided, or at least it looked like it could have been avoided. But Kyle Yeomans here alongside Heckma Harrison, the great Mr. Zach Walchuk, and
just blame
Eric
the ref.
Chiafalo.
We just blame the ref
Did
for
we?
getting
Yeah, we really did.
It's his fault
Could
for
have been
getting run
avoided,
over.
you know,
should have run out of the
him.
way, man.
Oh,
that's
man.
fantastic.
It's been a lot of fun here. Whataburger Friday Night Stars. If you didn't get a chance to catch us from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, you can go catch that on the YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, and Twitter pages. It's where we're live right now as well. But a lot of games throughout the DFW area. Guys, what are some of the top stories that at least you guys have kept an eye on? I know, Zach, you're over there, a Plano alum, needing that win for Plano. You already
Sweating
mentioned it a
bullets.
little bit, but Prosper's looking really good right now.
Now, Prosper came out, and they're playing unbelievably well on offense. Keegan Shoemaker had 3 touchdowns in the first half alone. Plano down right now 29-13, and I'll tell you what, I mean, it seemed like maybe early on it was going to be an offensive explosion. We got 2 teams here moving the football. Prosper's defense has played pretty well. They've done a good job of tackling for loss. Some of Plano's run plays have been 11-yard chunks, losing yardage, backpedaling, and Prosper just about every time they've touched the football, they've scored. So it's been a rough night for the Plano Wildcats. And this is one, it's weird because normally Heckma and I, we differ. This was one, Heckma had my back. Heckma's like, dude, Plano's going to beat Prosper tonight. Don't worry. I was very nervous, but Prosper, a good football team, and they're showing why right now against Plano. Plano's going to need some help if they can't come back. So they'll be monitoring. Plano fans will have an eye. McKinney, if they lose, Plano's in. If Plano East loses, Plano's in. So we'll keep an eye on those things and let you know, because it doesn't look like the Wildcats are going to get in themselves as of right now.
Well, and it's a shame, Walchuk, because it's really put a damper on your night.
I've been a little
bummed. As your friend, I just feel for you. I'm watching you in despair, watching these scores, and Prosper just keeps putting up points. And what's Kyron Cumbie doing, man? What's going on with him?
Kyron's been held in check for the most part. I know. I think Tylen Hines is the only touchdown. Kyron, 5 carries, 45 yards. He does have the touchdown. But through the air has really kind of been the thing. Brian Sutcliffe talked about that balance, how Plano Tylen Hines has been doing it on the ground. They've also had Cody Chris get involved on the ground game, so it's allowed Kyron Cumbie to kind of move into that slot position. And so far, nothing through the air. We've got literally 1 catch tonight for Plano. Everything's been on the ground. So they've been made one-dimensional by that Prosper defense.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that we looked at going into this game is how Plano was going to be able to respond. We thought Cumbie would be able to respond enough to make this a close game, much like he did against maybe Plano East in the games earlier in district play, but that just hasn't been the case. Prosper's been very strong there. But I know, Eric, you've been keeping your eye on a couple of games so far. What games have stuck out to you throughout the night?
Well, coming into the week, it was Bishop Dunn and Prestonwood for me.
That's true.
Obviously, it's taps, but the district's on the line, and that game's all tied up right now heading into the fourth quarter, 14-14. And that's a tough Prestonwood Christian team that lost their first game of the season last week. But Dunn, we know that defense, incredible, and we're all knotted up going into the fourth quarter. That one's coming down to the wire, man. That one right now, senior night for Mr. Cadwallader and company. That's a good time. That's a fun game to be at right now.
Yeah, they've been going back. I think that was a pick'em game, and I think we split that here at the table. I think that was 2 for Dunn, 2 for PCA. So,
PCA
this one's got ramifications beyond the football field, folks.
Got ramifications in the Star in Frisco.
Right here
Got
at the desk.
ramifications.
Heck, what games have you been keeping an eye on?
Well, I tell you what, I've been looking at this Saxe Rowlett game, and this one didn't get off the way that I thought it was going to be. You got a guy by the name of Derek Rose, and I'm not talking about the basketball player that is putting in work
season,
yeah, he's had a
for the Saxe Mustangs right now, and it's 41-0, and not the game we were expecting, guys.
Did you pick Rowlett?
I did.
I did too.
I did.
Yeah.
Feels good to be on the Saxe side
All of a sudden, it feels great to be on the Saxe side.
I did. So,
Saxe's looking pretty Saxe right now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's definitely not working out for Rowlett right now. But let's go through some of these games, and starting with a team that it's not going very well for them right now either, Salina. We mentioned it coming in, Argyle and Salina in that District 7 4A matchup. Argyle's just been a team all year long, really over the past couple of years. They haven't lost a regular season game since September 11th, 2015, and that's not going to change tonight. At 63-14, that's in the middle of the third quarter, and Salina is just looking for answers. 19 yards rushing, but you look at the 306 yards passing for Argyle, that's been the issue, is that defense for Salina has not had any luck stopping Hogaboom.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, and I'm sure Salina's coach after the end of this game is going to say they are who we thought they were. So
we let them off the hook.
And they didn't let them off the hook, but Bo Hogaboom is the man. Argyle, you said it earlier this season. You was like, hey, this state championship all over this program.
Yeah. They are so good. And you look at it, I mean, their touchdowns are all 25 yards or more except for one. I mean, they're just a big play waiting to happen. Tito Bice just had a 59-yard touchdown pass, their number one running back from Bo Hogaboom. He's just playing unbelievable. And for Salina, they know who they're playing next week. They've got a date set with Wilmer Hutchins in the bi-district round of the playoffs.
Toughie.
Argyle will wait. But yeah, that's a big matchup, Salina and Wilmer Hutchins. So for them, obviously it's a rivalry game. They'd like to get the win. Losing like this isn't great for your confidence, but it's not hurting them in the standings at all. They're in. They know who they're playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you look at really the way that Argyle has looked over the past couple of years, this isn't surprising. Even some of the games earlier in the season where they ran the table and were able to kind of put up big numbers against teams that we thought might have been a challenge for Argyle, It's just not surprising to see them be able to put up numbers like this. But one of the big bugaboos for Argyle and that Eagles program over the past couple of years is just being able to get deep into the playoffs and continue that all the way through to win a championship. Now, they've won a championship a couple years ago. I believe it was 2014, correct?
I think they lost in 2014.
That might have been
both
what it
these schools
was.
did. Salina and Argyle.
I think you're exactly right.
Both classifications.
But that's one of the big things. They'll get to that final pinnacle moment, and then they'll drop a game, either in the semifinals or the finals. Is this a year where you see Argyle trying to make that final jump and winning a state championship?
Look, 4A, you never really know what's going to happen there, but they look far and away the best team, at least from DFW. We see who they end up locking arms with later on down the road if it is in a state championship. But Argyle, they are just an absolute force, and they're in a really good district. They're playing some of the best competition in 4A. I mean, you look at the Salina team, no slouch. The tradition and the history of the Salina Bobcats, and Argyle's taking them to the woodshed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They have really controlled that one from the get-go. 42-0 was the score at the end of the first quarter of that ball game, and Argyle just really kind of ran it.
That's a fun environment, though.
Oh, it is. No, that was really cool.
That's a packed house.
No
That's
doubt.
Everybody's there. That's the biggest game of the week.
I love
for them.
the orange all the way around.
Yeah, it does look great. Yeah, it does look great.
Looks really cool. Looks like that Whataburger orange as well. Quick shameless plug. How about Bishop Dunn and Prestonwood Christian? Eric, I know you've kept a close eye on this game. What is the score right now? What's going on there?
Well, it's 14-14, tie game.
It's a tight one, huh?
It sure is. And gosh, those all blues just look incredible.
Yeah, they do.
For PCA. And listen, this is a tight game right now. And well, I don't know exactly if Cadwallader's got one up his sleeve against this Bishop Dunn defense. They've put up 14 points, and listen, every point that you get against Dunn is always going to be a tough point to come by. But listen, all knotted up right now. Looks like they're about to start the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter is about to get going pretty crazy here, and right now when you see what's been going on, I mean, Bishop Dunn's had their way running the football, and Prestonwood Christian hasn't been able to run it all, but they've been throwing it pretty well. Cadwallader's had himself a game, 136 yards and a touchdown pass, and that's really what's keeping Prestonwood Christian alive, as well as a turnover that they forced. But man, tight ball game. Ball game.
You look for Brian Williams in this game. He hadn't made a blip on the radar yet, but it's coming.
A game like this, a district championship on the line for Bishop Dunn, their best player, Brian Williams, you just are waiting for whether it's an interception, a big punt, or a kick return, something to kind of sway the momentum for Bishop Dunn. He's done it all year for him, no pun intended there. But for Prestonwood, look, this is another one of those programs we've talked about it. Reigning state champion, they're at home. This was a fun matchup between that Dunn defense and that explosive PCA offense. And right now we're seeing two very evenly matched teams, probably going to go down to the wire. And you're right. I think if Dunn's going to do it, it's going to have to be either a special teams or defensive play by Brian Williams, or else I think PCA is going to have the edge.
Well, you even look at the way that Cadwallader has not had the night that he's normally had, at least this season. Of course, he's leading the entire area in passing yards. He's been able to put up absolutely unbelievable video game type numbers, but tonight held to just 136 yards passing on 16 attempts and a touchdown. Now, that's not a bad stat line by any means, but whenever you have over 2,823 yards passing and 33 touchdowns on the year, it's not your sort of night for a Preston.
And that's all credit to the Dunn defense.
It is.
Dunn
that's what I'm
defense
saying.
is
Yeah.
stellar as it gets, and they're showing it right now. Prestonwood's going to have to fight just to get to 20 points, and you think to yourself, if we can get to 20, we feel good about winning this football game, and right now it looks like that's what it's going to come down to. And like you mentioned, Walchuk, district championship on the line. This thing, everybody's going to be going crazy right now, and that's another fun place to be at.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be, and if Bishop Dunn gets it done, then that would make for their most wins since 2016. How about Coppell and Irving Nimitz? Let's spend a little bit of time in the 5A rank, shall we? 6-5A is where we'll start things off. Coppell, of course, the Cardiac Cowboys, and today they've got Nimitz, but it's not going to be so cardiac today because they've really kind of taken care of business. And Heckma, you said in the opening show that was really your challenge to the Coppell Cowboys is you got to make this not even a game. You got to be able to go out and prove yourself a little bit.
Yeah, the thing is for the Cowboys all year, they've been trying to find some stability at the quarterback position. They've been trading in guys in and out. It looks like Carnegula is the guy that's taking over here at the end of the season. But as I told you guys, it's going to come down to Coach Dewitt's guys, and it came down to it. Jonathan McGill and Ryan Hurt is who he's relying on heavily. Jonathan McGill had a 52-yard pass from Carneglia to open up the game. Khalil Rashid had a fumble recovery on defense to get them up 14 points, and also Rashid Noel ran in the 2 yards rush for the Capel Cowboys in the first half. They pretty much just have been dominating this whole game, and Irvin Nimitz just got on the board in the fourth quarter, so they've pretty much cooled all their guys down at this point.
Yeah, Nimitz, a team that started off the season red hot, and then as soon as district play started, they fizzled. I mean, this is a very, very tough district when you look at Flower Mound and Louisville at the top, Coppell there at number 3, and Coppell has an outstanding non-district victory over Saxe, another team we're talking about tonight. You know, they were one of those teams, that tough non-district slate for Saxe. Coppell got the win. So, you know, Irving Nimitz seemed like one of those teams that was going to compete for that fourth and final playoff spot. They had a huge drop-off once district play started.
Yeah, and you see that drop off really on a usual year-to-year basis. You'll find teams like that look so strong in the opening games and then end up just not being able to do that toward the end of the season or whenever they get into district play. But once again, you look at the last meeting between these two teams was in 2005, and Eric, I know you're keeping a close eye on that Prestonwood game. It was 14-14 when we just took a look at it a second ago. What's happening with PCA?
Yeah, Bishop Dunn gets a touchdown. 8:20 left in the fourth quarter. It's a Elijah Yelverton 13-yard touchdown pass to Simeon Evans. Bishop Dunn is now up 21-14 with 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in that game.
Still a lot of time left up on the clock.
Ball game.
But yeah, that's all they need. That Dunn defense, that's all they need. They pin their ears back now. It's probably game over.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let's move on to Denison, where you look at their opponent tonight, and Denton Braswell, District 7 5A, and Braswell with 3 wins this year. It's going to look like it's going to stick at 3 wins because look at the total yardage from Denison, and this game is not finished just yet. This is still with a lot of time left in that fourth quarter, and my goodness, the Jackets have just put it on them from a yardage standpoint. The points maybe not as transferable with the yardage that they put up, but still able to move the ball at will.
Yeah. I mean,
23 first downs.
It's bad, dude. It's really bad. Well, and a lot of that's come in the second half. That game started off 7-7 at the end of the quarter. It seemed like, all right, we got ourselves a ball game. And then the second half, it's just been all Denison. They came out with a field goal. They had a 59-yard touchdown run from Jadarian Price, then a 10-yard touchdown pass to Caden Earnhardt. 31-7. All of a sudden, this one got out of control. We talk a lot about second half teams. Well, tonight, Denison is that squad. I mean, you look at what they've been able to do here with pretty much 24 unanswered points here in the second half to pull away from Denton Braswell, who really had their hearts crushed last week at Lake Dallas, a chance to make the playoffs. They dropped that game. Trying to end the season, though, 500 in district play, a young program. That have been an accomplishment. But like you said, Kyle, it's all Denison tonight. And they had an outside chance to make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen. But either way for them, good way to end the season.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way. You never want to end the season on a bad note. And this is something that they can build on. And if they end up in the playoffs, then even better.
Momentum, absolutely.
Even better. You got a little bit of momentum. And talking about momentum, Zach, I'm going to take a quick break from our 5A talk. And I want to jump real fast into 6A, where this is in your district for the Plano Wildcats. Which team do you need to win, Boyd or McKinney, correct?
Yeah, we need Boyd to beat
McKinney. Well, here's an update from the Fan Tag Cam. First time we get to look at it tonight. Fan Tag Cam as McKinney Boyd on the flip, right side. Look at this hole. Breaking free on the far side. He's going to tiptoe his way in.
Here we go. Tyler Shaw.
17-16.
McKinney
Boyd taking a little bit of lead.
I'll tell you what, man. Getting in is getting in. You might be backpedaling, which isn't great. You want to take care of business yourself. But if Boyd can do it, my goodness, the Cats would be in the playoffs, and they'd be in that Division II bracket, I believe, which might be the first time that they've ever managed to get to that Division II bracket in 6A. They've always been one of the bigger schools, but Plano East is now bigger population-wise than Plano, so it would be East and Allen sliding to Division I bracket, and then Prosper and Plano at Division II. So hopefully Boyd can hold on there then we might be able to make some
Pulling
noise
for
for
you, bud.
postseason time.
McKinney is driving right now. They're on the 46-yard line for McKinney-Boyd, and as this fourth quarter gets underway.
That one's going to come down. And, you know, that
that make you
Jesuit
nervous?
Plano East game is also very close right now. Jesuit's up, or excuse me, Plano East was up by 3, but Jesuit's come to play tonight. We know that offense has always been good with East. They're holding stride for stride. So this one's going to come down to the wire. I always kind of expect the worst. I feel like both those teams will pull out wins, East and McKinney, and then Plano's on the outside looking in again. But man, right now there's some hope, regardless of Plano losing right now, big to prosper.
Let's go to 5A, back to our 5A ranks where we're talking about Frisco and Lovejoy. Saw some highlights from this earlier in the day, and you look at what Lovejoy's been able to do. Their one loss of the season came to Frisco Reedy, and now you get Frisco at home. You think the Leopards can get it done. They've got the passing yards, but Frisco has just been able to make too much off those 4 first quarter turnovers from the Leopards tonight.
Yeah, the turnovers is really what's killing Lovejoy tonight, Nick, because they're putting up the numbers, 25 first downs to 12. They're dominating the stat sheet, 430 plus yards, or almost 430 yards. I mean, that's crazy. And you know, they're throwing the ball. Carson Collins, the problem is 2 interceptions. But Collins is putting up his numbers. Jahi Rainey's putting up his numbers. Jacob Terwilliger's putting up his numbers. The only thing is Frisco capitalize on the turnovers. They also they do a good job in terms of running the football. Blake Mays had himself a great day. Nick Stanton, a great day. And then they throw the trick play in there. Everything just seems to be clicking and working beautifully for Frisco tonight. And sometimes that happens. You know, 4 turnovers, you just can't account for that. Lovejoy's trying to stay afloat, and you can see they still put up the crazy offensive numbers even with 4 turnovers. But when you do that, a Frisco team that's good enough to beat you and 4 turnovers, they're definitely going to beat you.
Yeah, and the thing is a lot of times it's not the turnovers, it's where you turn the ball over. So for Lovejoy, they had a lot of interceptions in their side of the field. I mean, just gave Denton a short field.
Well, and I think they even had a couple returned for touchdowns.
Yeah,
if
we
I'm
saw
not
that one
mistaken.
that was turned for
Yeah.
touchdown, and they had the trick play. It's clear Frisco's the desperate team. Frisco's got to win to get in.
So.
Lovejoy is already in. Yeah, you're at home, and Lovejoy's been pretty decent at home this year, but clearly Frisco's pulling out all the stops and those turnovers. Sometimes the ball just rolls into your favor, and they've made the most, capitalize on those. Great for the Raccoons, man. Good for that program.
Yeah, 14 points on those turnovers as well.
The biggest thing for Frisco is that they're still sitting at 5-2 in district play. And you look at on Lovejoy's side, 6-1 in district play. If Frisco would win this game, they would be the 2 seed out of District 7, 5A. So a lot at stake, I should say, for those playoff berths for both teams, whether or not they're already in the playoffs or not. There's still a lot of playoff implications.
No
but
doubt.
you opened up the shows talking about that. You know, win and get in, lose and go home. So a lot to play for tonight, even with 1 quarter football for a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. A lot of playoff football going on even in the final week of the regular season. Here's a game that I'm a little surprised by, but I'm also not super surprised by.
So you're not that surprised by it?
It's a little bit of both. I don't really know how I feel about this game. This is across the tollway at Toyota Stadium from us here in Frisco. Frisco Independence and Frisco Centennial. Frisco Independence is putting it on Centennial right now, 34-14. That defense for the Knights has been solid. And then once again, we talked about him earlier, and you see him right there. Logan Brungard, 111 yards. Didn't get into the end zone that time, but he does have a touchdown in the game. Look at this back shoulder throw. Oh, my
nice
goodness.
throw by Braylon Braxton.
Braxton already has 2 touchdown throws, 2 touchdowns on his 8 attempts. Throwing the football. So Frisco Independence looking pretty good offensively. That defense has been able to stifle Centennial, except for a couple scores like that one right there. But don't count out Centennial just yet. They're driving right now on or in the middle of the fourth quarter. There might not be a whole lot of time left for the Centennial Titans.
And another defensive touchdown. I mean, that's kind of been a theme in a lot of these games early on. Frisco Independence had a pick 6 in that second quarter against Centennial. All of a sudden, you get those added possessions, points from the defense. It can really lopside a game.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you score a defensive touchdown, the percentages swing way in your favor winning that game.
Yeah, momentum shifts every time. And I tell you what, guys, y'all have been talking about this kid Braxton ever since y'all called that game, and just saying how good this kid is. And it's been proven true with them being up 34-14.
One of the biggest things with Braylon Braxton, he may not be the flashiest or most athletic player, but he's young. and he takes care of the football. You see the 0 on the turnover column.
You gotta love that.
That's huge.
And he's one of those guys that, like, it doesn't matter how the team wins. He doesn't have to put up his numbers.
No.
Logan Brungard's been a guy who's been really effective. The game that we called against Little Elm, it was Logan Brungard's show.
It was.
Braxton, he is fine with that as long as they're getting W's, man.
The other thing about Frisco, and listen, we got our new digs tonight. Shout out to Bob Lilly Jr. We're looking good. Frisco, all the schools stay looking fantastic.
They really
Their
do.
uniforms from top to bottom. We talked about Wakeland plenty. Lone Star tonight here at the Ford Center looks incredible. Centennial looks amazing. All the Frisco teams' uniforms are awesome.
Well, let's look at those Frisco Ford Center uniforms as we look across the hallway, and it'll also give you the score update and all you really need to know.
And those maroon uniforms aren't bad too, but it's just that flat blue from Lone Star, that helmet that they got, they look great. All the Frisco schools just do it well, and there's 150 Frisco schools.
They do. They're dressed
all
to
do it
impress,
great.
and Lone Star is doing their thing right now against Heritage, the lowly Frisco Heritage team that struggled this year. Hey, Eric, you did your best to sell them. You know, you pointed out the positives, but
Yeah, well, I
no
thought my
match
boy
for Lone Star.
Falconberry was going to do a little more than that. You know, I just thought
Against
they could,
that defense.
Well, I was just hoping. I was hoping.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
Falconberry didn't show up.
Cameron Rose, Khalil Harris. I mean, those are my guys
against
here.
Kavika Pittman and those boys. No, it ain't happening.
Well, and Julian Larry. Don't forget him. Oh, what do you see here?
Oh, wow.
There it is.
Could he go?
There
Oh,
we
got
go.
dragged down from
Falconberry
behind.
making plays down the field to one of his 6 receivers.
All
who
he
have
needed
at
to hear
least
was you call
200
his
or more
name over
receiving
here.
yards in the season. That's
Like,
right. You heard
I
me.
hear the whispers. It's time for me. Falconberry touchdown.
Well, really the biggest thing, you look at the total yardage, but it's been a really, really balanced attack. Julian Larry has 197 yards passing.
gets
on
better and better
7
every
attempts.
week.
He really does, but he hasn't thrown the ball a lot. 7 for 10, but he has 3 touchdowns
Yeah,
out
they've
of
all-
those 7
I mean,
completions.
That's incredibly
I
efficient
doubt
there,
that he's
Julian.
still in the football game.
No,
I don't think
that
so.
guy's probably
Certainly
pulled out
not.
for a
Heritage
while.
doing their best to run the ball, trying their hardest.
But here's one of the things. We've said this all along, guys, that the Lone Star defense is stellar. All they need is a little help from their offense to be able to close out games. I think 63 points on the board is help.
I know we see -3 rushing yards for Heritage, but -3 rushing yards does not reflect the effort put in by that team.
They have
Just
been
wanna
working
say
hard,
that.
and I'm telling you guys, Lone Star, we talk a lot about him. Marvin Mims is the guy. He's the engine that makes that thing go. A punt return for a touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. If Marvin Mims is on, good luck beating Lone Star.
Mims.
That's huge. And Marvin Mims actually threw a touchdown pass.
Oh, my goodness.
As
And
well.
He just does it all. That
He
guy.
really does.
I'm so glad he was my waiver wire pickup of the week in high school fantasy football.
That's
Facts.
very good.
That's true.
That's smart. That is very
Can I
smart.
say?
Well, one more game before we take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, and it's our first Friday final of the game
boy,
that
do
we've
you
gone
wanna-
through.
Who you got?
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Is it Plano?
No, it's not.
Did Plano lose?
Not
Oh
yet.
no, Garland Lakeview Centennial against Garland Naaman Forest. The Patriots and the Rangers. Naaman Forest started the season 0-5, so let's at least give them some credit. They will
And they're
be in the playoffs
Yeah, there you go.
after winning 4 straight games, but that's where that streak ended. And let's look at this final score. 41-14. The final score as Garland Naaman Forest falls to Garland Lakeview Centennial, and it was not even close.
Heckma, don't forget, Mrs. Harrison said bring the energy.
Not even close.
Just
Bring
bring
the
the energy and
All
sell
right.
this hard bet.
Bring it, homie.
All right, so Naaman Forest, I mean, speaking of wet in the bed. So, look, here's the deal. The Patriots came out tonight, and they handled business. I said it from the beginning, guys. Kamar Wheaton, the sophomore running back for the Patriots, he came into tonight's game needing 83 yards to get 1,000 on the season. Well, he got that 83 and some more.
did he?
189 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns. The sophomore Wheaton showed out.
Dang.
1,100 yards on the season, and yeah, we'll be looking for you next year, big fella.
They made him look like the New England Patriots.
Yeah,
man.
I'm telling you,
Sorry,
man.
Mrs. Harrison.
Unbelievable, baby. I'll talk to you about it later. Yeah. So,
Not feeling too great, are you?
nah, man, not the news I wanted to deliver. I just knew that Naaman Forest would come in, get the win. Coach Sedberry is, like I said, it's been an up and down season, but after starting out 0-5, they went on a 4-game streak. I guess they returned back into the bad news Bears after all.
Yeah, they did not necessarily look great tonight, but a lot of games we got to get to here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, live from the Star in Frisco. Do have a quick score update. It's one of our highlighted games. Don't have any stats for you, but how about Haltom? 50-33 over San Angelo Central.
Dang it!
Michael Black.
I got that prediction
and
wrong.
Under 7
That never
minutes to
happens.
play.
Undefeated season for the first time since 1997.
Mike
They've been
Black.
looking real good, and Haltom getting the job done against
Mike
San
Black.
Angelo Central. We'll be
Mike
back
Black.
with more Whataburger Friday Night Stars here in a moment.
Mike Black.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a Forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
In a world where a young family embarks on an incredible journey, a son gets lost in an epic film. A father wills his team to victory, while a mother tries to talk to her daughter, who is posting online at a rate she has never seen until now. With high-speed Wi-Fi, free live TV and movies, there's something for everyone. Download the American app, and the best in entertainment travels with you.
Whataburger Friday Night Stars with the Lombardi trophies just upstairs from where we sit currently. Of course, 5 of them from the Dallas Cowboys. Looking to try and add a 6th. It's not looking too great after that loss on Monday Night Football. I don't want to go too far into it.
You already did. You've already gone
had to
too
bring
far.
it up.
I mean, my goodness. You're sitting there, you look incredible in your new jacket. Shout out to Bob.
Thanks to Bob Lilly,
that.
Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly Promotions.
Yep.
And
now
then you
come here
slander the boys?
with this?
You're insane.
But
you look incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate
I'm not going
You
to
look
even
good.
touch it.
You don't look as good as Heckma, but you look pretty
It's
good.
so hard to look as good as me, bro. You have to, a lot of practice going into that.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of Bob Lilly digs to make Heckma and the boys look incredible.
Yeah, it does. I don't think it takes that much. I don't think it takes that much to make us look good.
Really?
Yeah, I'm lying.
Okay, so a lot of people would strongly disagree.
Yeah, I probably would strongly disagree.
let's get back to the
How
games.
about Irving MacArthur and Flower Mound? 6-6A, of course, Flower Mound coming in 6-0, looking for an undefeated district slate. Well, let's see what's going on. Eric, I know, oh man, you got that look in your eye.
Oh, do I
What's
ever.
going on in this football game? Is Flower Mound blowing them out right now?
Well, things are looking up, that's for sure. And that wasn't the case from the start of the game because Irving Mack jumped out to an early 14-0 lead. My guy, Gabriel Sanders, running back for Irving Mack, he is their entire offense. He started the game with a touchdown run. By the way, he's got 184 yards rushing. He has eclipsed 1,000 yards. So, this is a victory night for me.
Hey, and what ended up happening, a lot of times the best analogy for MacArthur would be their carriage turned back into a pumpkin. So that's what happened.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Real quick. And all of a sudden,
that's what happened.
it was the Pierce Hudgens show. Am I right?
That's
You
all
are
it
not
is.
kidding. That's what I was going to get to. Hudgens, the man, and we know he's the man. Well, over 200 yards rushing, 226 to be exact. 3 touchdowns. Yes, 3 touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
For our boy Hudgens, and he's just riding. Blake Short doing his thing. Started off a little rocky, threw an interception early in the game, comes back 260 yards through the air and a touchdown. And want to mention Jake Welch. He's their receiver who's made a lot of their big plays. Well, through the air, he hasn't done too much today, but he does have a punt return for a touchdown. That just shows you his abilities, his versatility. Flower Mound, a heck of a team. Oops, wouldn't you know it? They actually just put up another touchdown. So with 6:38 left in the game, it's 42-21 Flower Mound, and that's thanks to a Reese Carter 23-yard touchdown pass from Blake Short. So Flower Mound absolutely rolling, and they roll into a first-round matchup against Geyer, who is really going in the completely opposite direction as the Jaguars, and that's going to be, well, it bodes well for Flower Mound coming in hot, undefeated in district play going into the playoffs. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And let's look at one pumpkin to another. How about the Jesuit Rangers?
Man, that Jesuit Rangers pumpkin,
hell of a pumpkin,
never turned into a carriage.
It never turned into
they
a
were
carriage,
hoping it was
didn't
a
it?
carriage. It was a pumpkin the whole time. Oh my goodness!
They carved the heck out of that thing.
Well,
it looks
they
great.
are
Jesuit.
fighting. They are fighting pretty heavily against a good Plano
you
East
know.
team right now, and at one point we're leading the game. At the end of the first quarter, we're up 10-8,
and they were tied at 0-0 at one point, which was incredible.
They were actually leading
That's
this
true.
game in the third quarter. They were up 27-23, and then the third quarter happened, and well, Brandon Mallory happened. A couple of long touchdowns. Trey Scott Jones with a touchdown run. And there you have it, 44-33. E.J. Smith, say what you want about Jesuit. E.J. Smith is worth the ticket of the price of admission, man. This guy is an absolute beast. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. He's got a receiving touchdown tonight. He is the Jesuit Rangers offense. And, for Plano East, we talked about it. Brandon Mallory, one of the leading passers in the DFW area, 11 of 12, 243 yards, 4 touchdowns, about as effective as it gets. Brandon Mallory having that kind of statement game for Plano East. It's a win to get in. They had to have it. Jesuit's been reeling. They've lost 4 of 5. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. Brandon Mallory, despite a lot of adversity, to be losing in the second half of this game against a team that really struggled, good for him. And for Plano East, they look like they're on their way to getting that second spot right behind Allen out of District 9 6A into the playoffs. So for Plano East, assuming they hold off here, we still have a whole nother quarter. We're not out of the third quarter yet.
Yeah.
Jesuit is putting up points, so we'll monitor.
Well, one of the big things, Jesuit went for 2 after their last touchdown score, did not get it, which is interesting because a 10-point game, I guess it's already a 2-possession game, but you get a field goal and a touchdown with an extra point, you're tied. But now you need a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion in order to tie back up with Plano East. However, Plano East just got sacked for negative 14 yards, and they're backed up against their own goal line with this next play to come. It's a 3rd and 22. 4th and 22. Just now updated Brandon Mallory passing complete. So they're going to be punting from their own goal line.
Oh, that's a scary.
So Jesuit has a chance here if they can get a hand on the football to get some more points up on the board, if even more so than that. At least have some good field position to work with.
They've been fighting their way tonight, and there is no Kevin Schumann at quarterback, so it's really been all on E.J. Smith tonight. But he's carrying the load, and he's doing a good job.
Yeah, like you said, E.J. Smith is the guy. He has been playing lights out all season. It's been the Jesuit defense that's been bad, been their Achilles heel, and it looks like they've been in tip-top form tonight, giving up 44 points so far. So they have not disappointed.
Just another night for Jesuit, man. Hey, at least they're consistent, you know.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, we're getting in trouble. How about TJ McDaniel and the South Lake Carroll Dragons? I mentioned this stat earlier. They've played Timber Creek twice in program history. The last one was in 2013. Well, the combined score of the first 2 meetings was 142-13. Let's add on to that a little bit, shall we? As 50-6 is the score right now. TJ McDaniels with 125 yards, 3 touchdowns. You've got Will Bowers with 224 yards on 11 of 17 passing and 2 touchdowns his side. And then you've got Mitchell, the receiver, with 2 receptions, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's been all the big plays for Glenn Mitchell. He opened the game with a 51-yard pass from Will Bowers, took that one to the house. Joe McFadden got in with a 30-yard field goal. TJ McDaniel, a 10-yard run. TJ McDaniel, a 2-yard run. It has just been all the Dragons in this game.
Not a surprise.
No, not at all. South Lake Carroll taking care of business, undefeated season on the line. They're cruise control, man. And they've got a tough game against Coppell in the first round. Another one of those teams coming in tonight. They already knew who their first-round matchup is. That's a tasty by-district matchup right there.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier this would be the first undefeated regular season for South Lake since 2014 when they went to the state quarterfinals and lost in those state quarterfinals. I believe it was to Cedar Hill in 2014. Let's move on to the Battle of the Axe, a game we've been monitoring very closely because it's been a very good football game. And we've got a minute 13 left in the fourth quarter. Louisville and Flower Mound Marcus. Marcus trailing right now. 17-13 is that score. But Marcus has the football, and they are driving. They're in their own territory, but still plenty of time left for the Marauders to try and make something of this game.
Man, 5 turnovers for Louisville, and they're still leading that game.
It speaks volumes to how good that Farmer defense is.
Yeah, because look on the other side of things. Marcus hasn't done anything offensively.
No, it's really just a 59-yard run by Marcel Brooks, who, he's played some receiver. They got him involved. I don't know if it was a reverse or what it was, but he's got the biggest play of the night for Marcus, and this is it. I mean, there's almost a minute to play. Marcus has the football. It's do or die time right now for the Marauders, and if Louisville can hold them, look at that. I mean, what a season for the Fighting Farmers. And, I mean, Kyle, you and I both talked about, I think, 12 of the last 14 matchups. Marcus has won. They've dominated this series. That's a huge win for Louisville during this magical season. You add on a little Flower Mound Marcus victory. That's kind of the cherry on top of the sundae there.
You got it. And Marcus has been so up and down all season. We didn't know who we were going to get today.
Yep.
And I think that's why everybody went with Louisville in this game. And 5 turnovers for Louisville.
I didn't go with Louisville, by the way. I picked Marcus.
He went Marcus.
5 turnovers for Louisville.
It's not looking terrible.
It's not over
they
yet.
Still might win.
They're down by 4 points.
No, it's over, dude.
Is it?
It's over.
Well, okay, if it's over, then let's move on.
I don't think it really is.
McKinney Boyd and McKinney, we talked about this game a little bit earlier because of the implications that it has on District 9 6A. Do you want to know the score, Zach?
Yeah, I'm looking
as
at
a Plano guy. Okay, you are looking at it. So is it not good?
It's not bad. I mean, look, this has been a great game. Both these teams are really just trading blows back and forth. Boyd's got the football. There's 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. McKinney just scored to go up 31-24. So obviously, if you're a Plano Wildcat fan, you need Boyd to win to get in because Plano is down right now by 3 scores to Prosper. McKinney, though, they win. They're in. They got that final spot in 9-6A. They'll go Division II, I believe, with Prosper. So for McKinney, defensively, can they hold on? Boyd's offense, they've answered the call. This one's literally been trading scores, boom, back and forth. And right now, it's been Colin Drake. It's been the running game for Boyd. And the thing is, as soon as you start to get a little tighter, less time, you need some big plays through the air, Boyd's really been moving the football effectively on the ground. They've still got time right now, but they haven't been able to stop McKinney right now in the fourth quarter. McKinney's got a pair of scores on both of their fourth quarter drives. Mm-hmm. And now under 3 minutes to play, Boyd is going to have to they've just forced a punt on McKinney. So Boyd punted. McKinney's got it back, a quick 3-and-out. So Boyd will probably have one last drive here if they're going to make it happen before it's over.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of implications on the fact that if McKinney wins this game,
they're in, man.
They're in.
Back-to-back years
Plano
for the
is
McKinney
gone.
Lions.
Plano is out, which is tough because you look at Plano and you thought they had a legitimate shot to make it into the playoffs after kind of a rocky start to the season. Also, another game that we could look at really quickly, Little Elm and the Colony. That game has now gone final, and the Little Elm Lobos needing a win to stay alive and keep their season alive. Brendan Crosley, of course, one of the best athletes on the entire field. Well, the Colony gets the job done. That offense continues to just put up some pretty impressive numbers over the course of the regular season. But in this Friday final, it's the Colony and the Cougs getting it done again, 31-7, that final score. Just another big-time win for the Colony. And that defense is one of the unsung heroes for the Colony. We saw what they were able to do against Lone Star in that district win. Now undefeated in the district play.
Heck was player to watch. Wasn't he linebacker for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and again, when you look at the Colony, it's not just one guy. It's all of those guys. Mm-hmm. Super athletic, freaky athletic, and they're all flying to the football. But, you know, look, it's apparent. The Colony is not a fluke. Their win versus Lone Star, I mean, I want to call it Pizza Hut Park, but at the park
Toyota Center.
Yeah,
that soccer field.
I mean, although they needed a trick play to win that game, but the Colony pulled it out. You can honestly say, guys, that game had big ramifications in it, especially seeing the way that the Colony season's gone.
Yeah, that was a prove-it win for them, absolutely. And the Colony is similar to a team like we talk about with Frisco Reedy, where they are just very balanced all throughout their team. Offensively, they can throw and run, and then just as a team as a whole, their offense is really good, their defense is really good. They play great complementary football, and they're a team to be reckoned with as the playoffs get going.
Well, we've got another close game to get to that's with just minuscule time left in the fourth quarter. What a game this is, because it started off at halftime. 28-14 was the score. Argyle Liberty Christian and the Warriors over Parrish Episcopal and the Panthers. Well, Parrish has stormed back, blanked Argyle Liberty Christian with, in the second half, 0 points on the board for the Warriors. And on the other side, Parrish has put up 14. It's tied up at 28-28. Let's go to the fan tag cam. This is from earlier in the game, but I thought it was worth mentioning because there were so many good plays. But look at this back shoulder throw, and look at that catch. Dragging the feet.
Preston Stone.
Jeez.
That was brother the brother.
Pylon. Oh, was that family right there?
That was brother the brother. Both the Stone brothers getting it done and putting up some big-time numbers. 454 yards passing, or 450 yards total, for Parrish. But on the other side, same thing for Argyle Liberty Christian. They just haven't been able to do it in the second half.
That's beautiful. Post corner route for Preston Stone, thrown on the money to his brother. You know, they practice that. It's just a whole lot of reps you got to do to get the timing on that down, man.
They do that in the backyard, on a Wednesday
Every turkey
afternoon.
bowl.
They've done it for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, done it for years. And we'll have updates for that. Parrish is about to punt the ball away with 21 seconds left in the game. So Argyle Liberty Christian will have maybe one final shot to win that one.
They can't throw the ball, though, man. All they do is run. That's going to be a tough one. It's probably going to overtime.
Yeah, that's when you get in trouble with these one-dimensional teams right now. But in a close game, it's okay.
I take it back. I've got fan tag updates. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, this is exciting.
This is happening literally as I'm looking at it.
There's all kinds of things
Let's go to the fan tag. This is on the punt. Liberty Christian receiving this punt, picks it up, and he's going to run with it. breaks a couple tackles, goes back to the left side. Liberty Christian in the navy, Parrish in the white, going tiptoe, sideline, has one man to beat. It's the punter, and he returns it for the score.
Man.
Argyle Liberty Christian, as we speak on the fan tag cam.
How about that, huh?
Has just stunned, and the scene is absolutely nuts. If we could go back to the fan tag cam here for just a moment, look at what's going on here.
Oh
with
my
2
gosh.
seconds
the somersault
left on the
game.
clock. Oh my goodness.
Guys, we've got just craziness happening all over the place. We were talking about Frisco and Lovejoy.
Yes.
And how that game was just lopsided. Lovejoy has stormed back. They're down 3 points. It is 48-45. We've got Jared Hannon at that game. We're obviously going to have to talk to him about this one later. And Jesuit has just scored. Jesuit is down by 3. It is 44-41.
Oh, that's your saving grace.
And now I'm really hoping Jesuit wins because McKinney kicked a field goal. They're up 10. And it doesn't look like Boyd's going to pull that upset. So Jesuit Rangers, let's go, baby.
Biggest Jesuit Rangers fan out there right now.
Yeah, I'm probably the only one.
You see that? You see how he just turned that on right?
Oh, God.
Wow.
Didn't take very long, did it?
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Yeah, it did not take it very long.
Plano's been clawing their way back in this fourth quarter, but they're down 43-28 right now to Prosper, so they're not going to win. They're going to need help.
Same thing with Parish Episcopal. They're not going to win either unless they somehow return this next opening kick, or this final kickoff, I should say, against Argyle Liberty Christian to win with 2 seconds left on the clock. We just saw some mayhem from the Taps level. That was awesome to be able to see that unfold in front of us. Princeton and Frisco Reedy, this is a game that really we don't need to mention a ton because Frisco Reedy absolutely put it on Princeton in this one, 28-9. Not as bad as really we thought it could be, but really that's because of the first half. Princeton stuck around. That defense played well.
Hey, we wanted Foskey to do his thing.
Foskey.
How many yards this guy, it was like an over-under. Would he do 200, 400? What was it going to be tonight? And it ended up actually coming down to Mike Ferreira. I want to call him Ferrari Mike. Ferrari Mike went off tonight, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the difference maker for the Reedy guys.
Man, I thought Princeton was going to be able to outsmart Reedy tonight with the victory, but it didn't happen.
Nah, hey, they kept it close for a little while, but Reedy
cheesy.
is just a juggernaut right now at 5A.
Yeah, they really are. They are a juggernaut. Another juggernaut, though, Prosper, taking on Plano. And we've kind of talked around it, danced around it a little bit just to kind of talk about the other games that are happening inside District 9 6A. But let's look at this one. Prosper and the Eagles against the Plano Wildcats. And, well, it didn't go well for your Wildcats. It started off well. You got a little bit of running game going with Plano early.
Cumbie?
No, Cumbie's wearing the number 2 in the maroon, unfortunately. But
I thought he did everything for that offense.
He does do everything for that offense.
You see him blocking right there? Look at that
great
block. Look at that block on the outside. Look at that block on the outside, Kyron. Let's go, baby.
All maroon tonight, Walchuk. How do you feel about
That's
it?
Christian Zabatani. Oh, I love the all maroon. I think it's the best uniform in high school for sports.
Can't believe they lost in the all maroon.
Yeah, it's not official yet, but they're well on their way. Prosper's got the football in minute 44. They're up 43-28. And look at that ball placement by Shoemaker.
Back shoulder fade.
Yeah, they caught Keegan Shoemaker, probably the hottest, one of his best performances of the season. See right there, running it in. Ooh, this is some good footage we're getting here.
Yeah, I like this, man. This is like some NFL.
But, you know,
film
Kyron Cumbie has done his thing. He had a 31-yard touchdown pass.
Oh, look at that.
There's the touchdown.
That was pretty.
He's got 3. You know, he's trying, but it's just they have not been able to slow down Prosper's offense. Prosper's offense has been a well-oiled machine for Plano against Plano today. Not even any turnovers. I mean, literally that Plano defense has just not had an answer, and that was the fear. They worried about that big, physical Prosper offensive line. Plano a little bit of an undersized defense. The last time they faced a line of that caliber was against Allen. They got run out the stadium. So clearly that line has dominated, and it's allowed Keegan Shoemaker and Wayne Anderson to do what they do and carry that Prosper offense.
And credit Prosper for not suffering from the dreaded Allen hangover.
Yeah.
You know, they bounce back. A lot of these teams, you see, you lose to Allen, and it's like, okay, it takes us like 3 weeks to recover. We're post-coital for a while.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Prosper absolutely just showed up, did great. Let's go to the playoffs feeling good.
Yeah, and they did look good in this game, and like we talked about, that's not a bad Prosper team, or a bad Plano team rather, that they're beating up on right now. And if you're Prosper, this is a confidence boost,
no doubt,
going into that playoff run. How about Saxe and Rowlett? This is a game that we're going to quickly mention as well because I picked the Rowlett Eagles in this one, and it's not looking good for me overall. Saxe Rowlett, a rivalry game to end that district slate. 6-0 Saxe, 5-1 Rowlett. Well, Saxe just absolutely unloads on Rowlett in this one. As take a quick look. Look at this celebration with Saxe. Oh, man, they love it after a 48-0 Friday final. And they holding up the trophy. I love it.
Is that 3 years in a row?
3 years in a row for Saxe.
Undefeated in district?
Yep, no doubt. And it's crazy because they were winless out of district. We talked about a loss to Coppell earlier, and then they all of a sudden district play. Hey, we know this counts now. Let's turn it on. And they just, Rowlett's a good football team. Their only other loss to Rockwall. They just routed Rowlett here, and it's on the ground. And we talked about it, guys. Like, it's a multitude of different players for Saxe. They're going to beat you by playing good defense and running the football. And tonight, 385 yards rushing. Miles Nash, 156 of them, and a touchdown. And then Derek Rose at quarterback. We've talked a lot about the dual threat guys, but anytime you've got a quarterback who is mobile, it is tough. And now for Rowlett, their consolation prize after losing this one, they got to open up against the Allen Eagles in the bi-district round at Allen.
That's not a good prize. That's not a good prize.
Wait a minute. They got to play
Allen gets a home game in the first round of the playoffs.
And the second, and the third, and the fourth.
And they'll be playing a state championship game at Eagle Stadium. They're the only team that gets to do that. All the others are at AT&T Stadium.
Rules are the rules, Heckma. Come on.
Unless you're Allen, you get to bend the rules a little bit.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Star to get set for hour number 2 of Friday Night Stars Overtime. But as we do it, I've got one more play from that Parrish versus Argyle Liberty Christian game on the Fantag Cam. They needed an onside kick recovery, or not an onside kick recovery. They needed to return this for a touchdown. Can we see a miracle?
Yes, we can.
Can we see a miracle from Preston or from Parrish Episcopal?
He's going to do it. No.
But ensuing is the mayhem and the celebration from Argyle Liberty Christian. They win it on a kick return. We'll be back in a moment.
Nothing works up my thirst for an ice-cold Pepsi Cola like getting buckets. Whether I'm breaking ankles or breaking hearts.
Hey, Drew.
It always brings the refreshment, and I've been drinking it a long time.
Drew, how old are you anyway?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Uncle Drew, in theaters, June 29th. The future tastes good.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fantag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fantag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fantag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fantag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in-store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State! Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Oh, you guys are having fun in the middle of the break. Lots of talking here at the Star in Frisco. Beautiful scene, of course, every time we are here. We're looking good with Bob Lilly Promotions and all the jackets and the new swag that we have here for
so
Whataburger
good.
Friday Night Stars. You guys are rocking the jackets. I'm sticking with the polo for now, but we might have to show off the polos here in a little bit.
That's what you can do when you got versatility, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Yeoman, Takma Harrison, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Giafalo, the Whataburger Friday Night Stars Game On Sports crew, bringing you all you need about Texas high school football. And I don't think there's any better way to start the second hour than go to the fan tag cam and talk about what has been really the play of the week so far. And this is, once again, we talked about this a minute ago, but I feel like it's worth revisiting because this is Parish Episcopal and Argyle Liberty Christian tied at 28 with 21 seconds left in the game. Parish in the white, Liberty Christian in the navy. A risky play to pick up that ball in the first place. But being able to get to the outside, get to that left-hand side on a punt return with less than 20 seconds left, and he takes it to the house. And the Warriors go absolutely nuts, as they should.
They have a warrior spirit, man.
They do have the warrior spirit. Look at this scene. I just love that. That's what Texas high school football is all about. The sideline going nuts. Literally, somebody just did a cartwheel on the 15-yard line.
Look, the coach for Argyle has to have he just swallowed an apple right then when that kid picked up that ball. I'm telling you, it's one of those things where if you do that, you better score. Because otherwise, that coach is going to rip you a new one.
Well, he did score.
Well,
so
thank goodness he scored for his sake.
I can't wait to get that kid's name so we can just shout
Colin
him out.
Gamble.
Colin
52
Gamble.
yards.
Colin Gamble.
Took
Big
the house.
big risk.
And he won.
Good for him, man.
Can we talk about the kicker's name for Argyle Liberty Christian? His name is literally Cameron, wait for it, Baller.
He's Kambala.
Literally, his last name is Baller, which is better than the Ball.
And he ended up
brothers.
being a kicker, which means it definitely worked out for him.
He's Baller. Yeah, that's exactly right. 35-28, Argyle Liberty Christian over Parish Episcopal. Guys, a lot of games that we've got to get to talking through these games, and we've got a lot of updates kind of flowing in. Let's look at Carrollton, Ranchview, and Carter just real quick. 8-4A Division I. Both teams coming in at 3-2 in that district, this one being at Kincaid Stadium. And the Carter Cowboys just barely holding on to this one late in that fourth quarter. And really, you look at Carter and the Cowboys, a game that we kind of thought actually it just went final That is a Friday final, and Carter does hold on by that same score, 15-14.
Yeah,
is that final score.
Yeah, Case Williams, man, it was a close one, but Carter pulled it out. Case Williams was definitely the difference for the Carter Cowboys today.
Yeah,
15-14.
Wow.
Good for Carter.
Yeah, Carter getting it done in that one. Moving on from there, looking at Lake Highlands and Richardson. This is a game that we looked at in 8-6A that had a lot of implications because Richardson on the outside looking in. Lake Highlands trying to hold on to that playoff spot. Well, they have it, and they have it looking pretty good right now. 49-28 is the score in that ball game right now.
Yeah, and I actually just got an update. It looks like Richardson just scored another touchdown to make it 49-35. So Richardson trying to come back, but Lake Highlands got out early, 21 points in the first quarter, 21 points in the second quarter. And here it is, man. It's Jackson Thompson. We talk about him coming in at the quarterback position. He's a dual threat guy, but man, tonight through the air, 286 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and that's really the difference in the game right now. He's been just through the roof, incredible. And Richardson with 2 turnovers, never going to help you, but they're trying to storm back right now. We know Richardson has all the capability in the world to put up points. They got a lot of weapons, so we'll see if they can do it. There's still plenty of time left in that game, but Lake Highlands got out to that early lead, and now they're just trying to milk it to the end and get to that playoff clincher.
Yeah, getting the playoff clincher is definitely crucial. Sticking with 6A, let's go to District 7, 6A, Mansfield Summit and Lake Ridge. This was a really good ball game early in this one, but Lake Ridge once again getting the job done late and being able to kind of end up looking at another win here for Lake Ridge in what can be or will be a co-district championship in the District of Doom, Zach.
No doubt. And another team that went ahead and pulled away in the fourth quarter. This game was very close. Lake Ridge had a 24-21 lead in the third quarter. They actually trailed to start the second half, and then Chandler Rogers took over with a 29-yard run to give them the lead, and then a couple of touchdown passes from Chandler Rogers here in the fourth quarter has extended it to 35-24, and that is a final as Mansfield, Lake Ridge, and Cedar Hill are your co-District 7 6A champions.
Unbelievable.
And for Summit, that loss now puts South Grand Prairie into the playoffs. So for Summit, they unfortunately go home. But for Lake Ridge, what a story. What an unbelievable season to come up from 5A to 6A in the District of Doom, and they earn a co-share of the district championship.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
DeJuan Jackson tonight, man, 190 yards on the ground. He was the difference for Lake Ridge, too.
Yeah, definitely the difference.
Beautiful.
Let's look at Mesquite and Longview, and this was a closer game than I thought it was going to be between Mesquite and the Skeeters, and of course, they're not a bad football team by any means, but Longview is Longview, and I thought going into this that this was maybe had a chance to be a little bit of a blowout, but the Skeeters did hold in there as long as they could, but Longview ends up taking this football game and running away with it. Anybody got a final score on that one?
I know it was like 50.
Yeah, it was something like that.
55 to 20, I believe. The last time I checked, Longview was up big on Mesquite. We'll have a final for you here in a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. We'll move on for now. Alvarado and Pinkston, another Alvarado team that's kind of under the radar, sitting at 5-1 in district play, or 4-1 district play rather, as they continue their push against Pinkston. Another big time win that time for the Warriors. Red Oak and Seagoville. This game was never close by any means. Red Oak at halftime led Seagoville 55-0 was that score at halftime, and it ends up 65-0 as the Friday final. 493 total yards for Red Oak as they head into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum on their side. -4 yards passing for Seagoville and 4 turnovers. That definitely tells the story, guys.
No doubt. And for Red Oak, look at this. They end the season 3 out of the last 4 games, shutouts on defense. So their defense is balling, and C.J. Palmer had 3 touchdowns in this one for the Hawks. So really good season for Red Oak continues as they get a big win over Seagoville and really prove themselves in that district as one of the top 2 teams, no doubt about it, as that was 2-3 in that district playing.
Yeah, you look at Red Oak and the way that they're able to play defensively. I know Seagoville, like you said, they're not a bad football team, but they were kind of middle of the road district-wise in that district. But Red Oak, another big-time win, 65-0. Goodness gracious. Whenever you win like that, it's a dominating football game, and it could have maybe been more than that, the way that they were up at halftime. Richardson, Pierce, and Dallas Skyline. Of course, Dallas Skyline we talked about earlier as another one of those under-the-radar teams, averaging over 45 points per game on offense, and they weren't up there as much as you thought they would against J.J. Pierce on the other side.
Yeah, this is a game between 2 and 3 in that District 8-6A, and we talked about it. I mean, they've all been getting worked by Duncanville, but for Skyline to be up 28-21, right now they do have the football. There's about 5 minutes left to play there, so not over by any means, but J.J. Pierce has hung in there, and we mentioned Bo Brewer is an outstanding player at quarterback for them. He's got a couple of touchdown passes tonight, the most recent one coming 8 yards out to Sutton Stokes to keep this one alive, so we'll monitor this all the way down to the finish, but J.J. Pierce playing with Skyline, usually a game that Skyline would win lopsidedly. Yeah. This is a J.J. Pierce Mustang team that is much better than in years prior.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Kansas State decommit, Velton Gardner. Do I sound a little hurt about that?
You did. A little salty.
D on the commit.
It's good you're not taking it personally.
Did you play at Kansas State or something? Is that what it was?
Anyway, and so
are you kidding me for Coach Snyder?
Of course. And so here's the thing, guys. Velton Gardner is doing it all for the Raiders. I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, 210 yards rushing, 172 yards passing.
Man, he's gonna be looking great in that Wildcat
He's Mr.
uniform,
everything
bro.
for them. Really.
I mean, is he passing the ball to himself tonight?
Yeah, it seems that way.
He's gonna do it at K-State too, dude. You guys got you a good one, bro. I'm happy for you.
He decommitted,
That's
man.
incredible.
Did you hear that?
That's really awesome.
I'm gonna toss something at him, man.
You guys are the future's bright for the Wildcats, man.
Without Velton.
You're the host, please.
He's gonna look great in purple.
I'm just kind of letting it work out while we can. But let's go back to the top of our sheet and one of the first games that we talked about earlier, but it's going to be real quick because Argyle and Salina, that's a Friday final, and Argyle absolutely works the Bobcats. 37 straight regular season wins for the Argyle Eagles. The last time they lost, mentioned it earlier, September of 2015. It was Salina that beat them. That wasn't the case tonight. Argyle big over Salina, and
so bad that Chesney didn't even show up at halftime, man.
He didn't. He did not show up. 63-21.
What can you do?
He said, I'm going to show up if the team shows up, and by halftime he realized they didn't show up.
They didn't show up.
He said, why would I if the team didn't?
The Bearcats are out. I'm out.
That game was 42-0 at the end of the first quarter, I should say.
Holy
Another big time
smokes.
game in the TAPS level. How about Bishop Dunn and Prestonwood Christian? Now, this was quite the game, and it came down to the wire. We had Gavin Dunaway on the scene trying to see if he can call in here in a little bit because it was an awkward but also controversial win. He actually is on the phone right now, I am being told.
Gosh, that was quick.
That was very
Way
fast.
to go, Gavin.
Gavin's on top of things.
He knows. He's aware.
There was a very controversial way that this ball game ended. And Gavin, first off, thanks again for joining us, and a great job tonight. But tell us about that ending. We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but why was it so controversial from Bishop Dunn and Prestonwood Christian Academy?
Yeah, so just to give a little bit of context, the drive before Prestonwood's final drive, I apologize. Caldwalder threw an interception which allowed the Falcons to go ahead and run the clock out as much as they could. And, Prestonwood was good about using their timeouts to make sure they had at least a little bit on the clock left for their final drive. And with about 10 seconds on the clock, Caldwalder managed to throw a 50-yard bomb, which got them within 5 yards of the end zone. And the big controversy came with the fact that during that 10 seconds as the teams were getting run up and the chains were getting moved and the ball was being set, the clock was rolling the entire time. So the controversy came as though, they felt as though the clock should have stopped while the ball was being set and the chains were being moved, even though the team was there. And I spoke with Coach Johnson of the Falcons after, and what he said the referees told him was that, if there's less, there has to be 3 seconds or more in order for them to stop the clock and have the ability for Prestwood to go ahead and spike the ball. And that's what I've gotten from Coach Johnson. But obviously, these Prestonwood fans were extremely passionate, and as they saw their team, kind of get railroaded at the end there, they were very passionate and outspoken. And, right after the play occurred, the officials went and talked with both head coaches, and they determined that was going to be the outcome. The game was going to be over, and they just walked off the field.
Wow. So there were 10 seconds left as that last play was snapped, or there were 10 seconds left on the clock after that last play had finished, and then the clock kept running as they were moving down the field to try and snap another play?
So before Caldwell threw the 50-yard bomb, there was 10 seconds on the clock then.
Okay.
So he snaps the ball, 10 seconds starts running down. He throws the ball, and the clock continues to run out until the end of the game.
But we don't know how much time was left on the clock when the pass was complete, when Cadwallader's pass to Riley Wilson when he was down. When Riley Wilson's down on the ground for Prestonwood.
Riley Wilson was down, I would say there was probably 4 or 5 seconds on the clock, and as the team has started running up at that point in time.
Wow, that's tough because there's plenty of time there to try and spike the ball at the 2-yard line. If you can get up and snap it, you should maybe have 1 or 2 seconds left on the clock if the clock stops after the 50-yard completion. Is that what you're saying, Gavin?
Essentially, yes.
That's kind of what the story was with Prestonwood. Second straight loss for Prestonwood Christian Academy, a team that was undefeated at the start of the season. An absolutely controversial way to end that ball game. But Gavin, before we let you go, how important was that Bishop Dunn defense, and how good were they shutting down a prolific Lions offense?
Oh, it was tremendous to see how, the secondary definitely played the biggest part in this game. Despite the fact that Caldwell has the ability to throw in such tight spaces, they still managed to swat these balls away. And also, this defensive line played a major role in putting a lot of pressure on him. He wasn't able to stay in the pocket a whole lot of times, and he was forced to roll out and, make quick decisions with the ball. But definitely kudos to them for having the ability to stop such a prolific passer.
Gavin Dunaway live from Bishop Dunn and Prestonwood. A controversial ending, but a big win for Bishop Dunn and as they move on for the Falcons. Gavin, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, you too. 2 good games for Gavin this week. He was also at Fossil Ridge last night with Denton Geyer. Fossil Ridge, that ended up a 14-13 score, but it's unfortunate for Prestonwood Christian as they look to win a state championship, trying to move into the playoffs with some momentum. That's not the case. They've lost 2 straight. No, and Bishop Dunn now wins their district championship. That's just such a weird turn of events there at the end of the game. I think all of us are kind of thinking, man, that's so odd. I wish we we could see exactly how much time was left. Because if they're saying like you needed at least 3 seconds, I mean, if there's 2 seconds left, maybe, sure, I get that. But if there were 4 seconds or 5 seconds on that clock, I think absolutely they should have had enough time to clock the ball and run another play.
And PCA at home, definitely get that call. Got to give it to the home team there on senior night.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough way to lose. It's a salty one there if you're a PCA fan. Yeah, bad one to call. And, man, it's controversial. You should have time to at least maybe try and get up to the line of scrimmage and spike that.
Well, the other thing, though, is when they set the ball, but then your whole team, you just threw a 50-yard pass. Now your entire offense has to run up. And
it would have been tough to get a snap off, but just the fact that it was a first down
still a bad call.
And a chance to do it, I feel like that you don't take that away from a team.
Yeah, there's something missing because obviously he opened it up saying that Prestonwood had all their timeouts, and so if that's the case,
that's also true.
And then
they should have been able to take a timeout at any time. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
No. He said they managed their timeouts in a way that would give them enough time to have time on a final drive. So they burned all their timeouts. They didn't have any more timeouts.
Yeah, because there'd be no way they'd have a timeout if that were the situation at the end of the game there. Crazy finish there for Bishop Dunn and PCA. Wow.
Big time win for Dunn, though. No doubt. They move into the district
play. Who'd you guys pick?
Yeah. I went PCA.
I went PCA as well. But, hey, both teams now still going into the playoffs, still both have a great shot at the state title.
They're going to both have
everything
both
still
big-time runs.
Season's still wide open.
Now, looking from TAPS to 6A, District 6A is where we're going to jump real quickly. Louisville and Flower Mound Marcus, the battle of the axe, and what was really a hard-fought football game all the way up until the very end. And this one being played at Marcus and Louisville holding on right up until the very end. That final score, 17-13 over Flower Mound Marcus. We've got Ashley Pickle, who got a chance to catch up with the head football coach for Louisville and the Fighting Farmers. This is a pretty cool interview, I'm being told. Let's take a quick look.
All right, I'm Coach Odell, the head coach of Louisville. Coach, congratulations first off on the win. You knew that you had a spot clinched in playoffs coming into this game, but to get this type of momentum going into playoffs, what does it mean to you and your team?
This is a playoff game to us. You know, I told our kids I'm not worried about next week. We're worried about the Marauders. Coming in here and kicking their tail was our first priority. We didn't play our best games, but our kids got guts. They kept playing. They played hard. And it was two great teams battling. You know, our kids persevered.
Coach, you got the axe. You stood up on the ladder and held it in front of your team. What was that feeling like up there on the ladder?
A lot of emotions, acting on a little impulse there. But, you know, I'm so happy for our kids, and the axe means a lot to me. It does. I get emotional just thinking about it because it's important. It's important to our community and our school and our kids to know that they can do whatever the crap they want to do if they put the work in. These guys put the work in, and they deserve this.
Coach, congratulations. Go celebrate with your team.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wow. Coach Michael Odell from Louisville. And yeah, it's emotional.
That's why we do this, man.
Yes.
That's why we're here. That's what makes high school football great, is the emotion that goes into this. They didn't need to win that game, but it's the Battle of the Axe. Marcus has kicked their tail the last 15 years. They got a huge victory. They're having an unbelievable season. They're 8-2. They win their district. That's what it's all about right there, is your head coach getting fired up. We didn't even play our best game, but we found a way to win, and you saw the emotion, just the rawness of that moment was beautiful, and a great job to Ashley Pickle. Her Highness Ashley Pickle, that is, the homecoming queen.
Well, Her Highness is actually on the phone with us right now to give us a little bit more insight into this football game. And Ashley,
it's an honor.
First off, incredible interview with Coach Odell. We just got a chance to look at it and just to see the emotion from him in this game and in the way that this kind of turned out with 5 turnovers for Louisville, but they're able to pull out the win. What was that atmosphere like in Flower Mound?
Oh, my goodness, was it? I mean, it was just unbelievable. First off, when they were players were going to start high-fiving on the field, and it turned into a giant brawl. So sheriffs were out there getting that off, trying to, calm people down. It got intense, but the emotions for Marcus were obviously through the roof. And then Louisville ended up going over in front of their student section, and it was the biggest party I think I've ever seen at a high school football game this far. And then, out of all things, Coach Odell gets up on the ladder with the axe, and I mean, it's just pumping it in the air. I almost didn't think it was him for a second because I'm going, man, that guy's so pumped. Like, this has got to be a kid trainer. Who is this guy? And then I was like, oh, that's Coach. I mean, he was just unbelievably happy. You could see the emotion on his face. He was, just smiling from ear to ear. And then that interview, it almost made me choke up how emotional he got. And you could just tell just how happy he was. The entire stands were just completely packed. The student section was going nuts. The football players even took the axe over towards the band, and they just lost their mind. I mean, it was a really, really cool experience. And, I didn't even go to Louisville, but I felt like I was a part of it all.
Hey, Ashley, can you confirm or deny whether or not Coach Odell was screaming out when he had the axe, Odell rules, Odell rules, Odell rules?
I cannot confirm that, but it would not surprise me.
That's fantastic.
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Exactly. Nor deny. That's the key there. Ashley, is that the first time you've ever interviewed a coach that began crying?
Yes. When it comes to sports stuff, I've done some news stuff where people get emotional. That's a lot easier to get emotional with. But yes, that was the first time that I've seen that much pure emotion coming from a coach, and the voice shaking, the tears in his eyes. And to his credit, he even addressed it. He goes, it makes me emotional. And it was very, very, it was an awesome experience. It made me very happy for them and their entire program, especially with the success that they've had so far.
Ashley, we've talked all year long about this Louisville defense. Am I seeing this right? They had 11 total sacks tonight against Marcus?
Yes, it was unbelievable the amount that they were able to get into that backfield to put the pressure on the quarterback. That and then the fumbles. This defense played lights out tonight. They were really what kept them into the ball game because their offense was not living up to par, but the defense was just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But before we let you go, Ashley, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but Zach, you alluded to this earlier, called her Highness, which is now the absolute perfect way to describe Ashley Pickle, who won homecoming queen for the University of North Texas.
Go, Ashley.
Incredible.
On their homecoming weekend.
Congratulations.
Go, Ashley.
No one deserves
Thank
it
you so
more.
much, guys.
Ashley, congratulations. Thank you again for being a part of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We'll talk to you next week. And, man, you got a pretty good one. Good luck calming down from that one.
No kidding. Thanks. Y'all have fun tonight.
There she goes, Ashley Pickle, hardest working woman in sports and now royalty at the University of North Texas. So a lot of fun, man. That Battle of the Yaks, it's something, isn't it?
For
It's
anyone that says this is just high school football, you got to check your head.
It's not.
It's different. You know, we do things different here in Texas. And so that Battle of the Axe, it means a lot to that community. And that has been a long-standing rivalry for a while, guys.
Oh, yeah.
So that means something.
Yeah, it really does. And you look at really the passion and the pageantry around it all. And that's why, like you said, Zach, that's why we're sitting here.
That's what it's all about.
Why we want to do this
No
show
doubt.
is for things like that. And that's exactly why we do that. We also do it to give you score updates. And so we're going to continue doing that right now. Coppell and Irving Nimitz. This was a quick one. District 6 5A. Coppell and the Cardiac Cowboys blow through Irving Nimitz, and they do it in emphatic fashion. 35-14 that final score. Not a single score game like we're used to seeing Coppell in this season, guys.
Yeah, no need to break out the kicker today. They were able to keep the secret weapon in the case. But
Talking about the legend K. Davis?
You know who I'm talking about. The
Guy who can walk on
water.
Walk
Yeah,
on
water.
water.
Yeah, you're right.
That guy.
Walk on a light bulb and not let the glass break. That kind of thing.
He can kick footballs off water. Are you kidding me? This TK can do anything from the parking lot.
But finally, the Cowboys win a game easily, and they march on to the playoffs.
Now they're on to South Lake Carroll.
Ooh. What
Undefeated.
a first-round matchup
2 o'clock
that's
on
be.
Saturday, Coppell and South Lake Carroll.
Where's that game going to be played? Is that at
fast.
South Lake?
I believe so.
It is at South Lake. Okay, well, that's going to be a fun one to keep up with.
How about double check that?
How about Denison and Denton Braswell? Of course, Denison really owning this series over the last 2 meetings between these two squads, and they own it again, 44-7. This final score. This was a 14-7 game at the end of the first quarter, and then Denison with 600-plus yards total, including 477 on the ground, and they just get the job done against Denton Braswell here. Braswell with a nice season, though. 3 wins compared to the 2 that they had in program history leading into the year. So not a bad season for the Braswell Tigers, guys.
Not at all. Good for Braswell. They're stepping in the right direction. Had a chance last week to keep their season alive for the playoffs. They fell. And for Denison, good win to end the year. I mean, they still had an outside chance to make the playoffs. I don't know if they were able to get in with some of the results tonight, but still, putting up 44 points, they took over in the second half and beat an upstart Braswell team.
Well, we've got another score update and another final score. And, Zach, this one didn't go in your favor. In the district with Plano, McKinney, Boyd, and McKinney.
Yeah.
District 9 6A. McKinney wins it 34-24, the final score. But a pretty good ball game. Cordrick Dunn had 165 yards rushing and a touchdown on 33 carries in the win. And we've got Jackson Donovan on the phone. Jackson, first off, thanks again for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Tell us a little bit about this game, because in the second half it was back and forth, and then it seemed like in the fourth quarter the Lions of McKinney just kind of took over this football game.
It was an absolute slugfest for the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, McKinney North scored early, and Boyd was on the ropes. They tried to do things, put the ball in holes that it just wouldn't fit. Had an interception in that fourth quarter, and it got away from them moving late into the game.
Yeah, Gavin, I mean, what was McKinney able to do here?
It's Jackson.
In Jackson, we got so many people calling in the fourth quarter to stop McKinney Boyd's offense, because they did seem like they were keeping pace. Tyler Shaw, but they were able to force some key turnovers late in the game.
A lot of it was the senior quarterback, Kelvin Thomas, for McKinney High. They ran a lot of the quarterback-running back option in that fourth quarter, and it wasn't so much the defense slowing down Boyd. It was the offense had the ball for the majority of the second half, really controlled the time of possession, and wouldn't give Boyd a chance to fight till the bitter end. It was mostly just great coaching by McKinney High.
Hey, Jackson, how impressed were you by that new McKinney Stadium?
It was ridiculous. just the amount of pride that McKinney ISD sunk into that stadium. Everywhere you look, there was a McKinney logo showing off their brand new stadium. Even if you went into the press box, every single seat was embroidered with the McKinney ISD logo just to show exactly where you were in Texas.
Just absolutely incredible to see. Won that stadium, but unfortunately McKinney and the Lions, for Zach Wolchuk's sake, take this one from McKinney. Boyd, one of the first wins, or the first win over McKinney Boyd for McKinney since the first ever meeting back in 2006. Jackson, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Guys, we're looking at some of these highlights from this game, and that looks like a college stadium.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous facility, and now they've got a playoff team in it. You know, Boyd misses it, McKinney North is in, and McKinney, for their second straight year, because of the head-to-head tiebreaker over Plano, they're in. They're in that final spot in District 9-6A. Congratulations to the McKinney Lions. They took care of business. Boyd gave them a run for their money, but they were able to make it happen in the fourth quarter.
Able to make it happen, and they look like they have a chance, like you said, to get into the playoffs. Do you have an update on that?
They're
Jesuit?
in, man. They're in.
They are in.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter what happened with Jesuit and Plano East. As soon as they beat McKinney Boyd, they were in if Plano lost. And if we can just go ahead and go to Plano and Prosper now.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's do that, because my Plano Wildcats were down throughout this entire football game, and they got an onside kick. They scored late. They got an onside kick. They were down 8 points with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. They had a rally here. They drove all the way to the Prosper 13-yard line. Final play of the game, a sack. It's over. They lose this one to Prosper, and Plano's season then turned to, well, it's a watching game. Does McKinney beat Boyd? That didn't happen. And would Jesuit maybe upset Plano East? It doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So for Plano, it all comes back to that McKinney game. It was a game that they probably shouldn't have lost. It's 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row now that they've lost to McKinney. And that's why these district games are so important. They did a great job of rebounding from that loss to McKinney, beat Plano East. They were able to come through and win 3 straight district games to set up a win-and-in game here against Prosper. Unfortunately, Prosper was the better football team tonight, and it really came down to Plano's defense. They weren't able to get any stops until late in the fourth quarter. It wasn't enough. Prosper had already built too big of a lead. Plano dug themselves too big of a hole. They weren't able to dig out of it.
Now, are you surprised that McCullough's team came in knowing that they had to win this game, and they just basically played uninspired all the way to the second half?
Yeah, I am. I thought that Plano would come out, and this would be. I thought that Prosper was a better football team than Plano, but I thought Plano, being at home, and it was homecoming tonight as well. They waited till their last game of the season to have homecoming. So you add all that, senior night, homecoming, win to get in. I thought that raw energy and emotion would carry Plano to a victory against a very good Prosper team. Unfortunately, defensively, they didn't come to play tonight, and the offense had too little too late. They didn't really seem to get their rhythm going until the fourth quarter, and that's all she wrote. Plano's going to go home and miss the playoffs.
I'm honestly impressed, though, Wolchuk, just by the way you've handled your emotions tonight. I mean, you were sad all night, and then everything goes final. Plano misses the playoffs, and Wolchuk's he's swallowing it, man, taking it like a man.
It is what it is.
I'm proud of you.
It's unfortunate. And for Plano, I thought after that McKinney game, I think a lot of Plano fans did, that they were probably done. So to be in this position, a lot of heart showed by that football team. It's just sad because now Kyron Cumby goes off to Illinois, had an outstanding season. There's a lot of good young players, but Kyron Cumby was a special one for Plano, and that was his last game in a Wildcat uniform.
That's sad to think about. You think about the seniors that are seeing their final games in their respective high school uniforms, and it's all across the state of Texas right now in their final regular season week. But guys, we got some more games to get to. Let's go to Denton and Colleyville Heritage. This is District 4 5A, and Colleyville Heritage trying to avoid their worst season since I believe really the last couple of years, because they have not had any kind of luck. Worst record since 2004 with a loss to Denton, but Colleyville Heritage able to get the job done tonight, Heckma.
Yeah, one thing about it is Coach Joe Willis is not going to allow for his team to have any lulls in the season. Even
Friend
though
of the show, Coach Willis.
It's just not going to happen. He's going to coach him up all the way through. I know we had some questions about whether Dr. Cam Brown would play tonight. He didn't. So they went with their other guys, and it ended up being Cooper Rowe was a guy at the running back position. He also had some catches, but it ended up being Chad Turner at the wide receiver position. So they had to go by committee tonight to pull out this victory, and they did.
Yeah, they did indeed, and another big-time win for Colleyville Heritage. Let's move on to Frisco and Lovejoy, not Frisco Lovejoy. But this was a game early where we saw Frisco take a pretty commanding lead.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Leopards fought back and they clawed back against the Raccoons, and this was a scrappy game at the end. 718 yards of total offense for Lovejoy, but it wasn't enough in this shootout, and Frisco and the Raccoons rushed their way to a big-time win on the final week of the season.
Yeah, man, this game was wild. I mean, you can just tell by looking at the offensive totals for Lovejoy. And they were down big early, like you mentioned. They came storming back. They had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And here's the deal, man. They had it all the way down. We talked about Jacob Terwilliger, one of the studs for Lovejoy, their best receiver. And they get it down to the end of the game where they're down by 3. They have a chance to go win the thing. And he catches a huge play. And let's see, it's Max Sowerwine for Frisco that forces a fumble at the Frisco 26-yard line with 12 seconds left in the game. Terwilliger literally had just caught a 32-yard play.
Wow.
He's going down, and on the way down, he gets stripped. Fumble, 12 seconds left. Frisco recovers, and Frisco wins the game. And Lovejoy's comeback is, well, for naught.
Wow.
Incredible game.
And it was Frisco's defense that really put them in position to have
5
that giant lead. And they almost bail it. An unbelievable job by Carson Collins, throwing for 521 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then it's the defense of the Raccoons that steps up. It's a game they had to have to make it in. That's the kind of intensity we want to see. Frisco did it. They were in the playoffs. That was 2 good teams, Frisco and Lovejoy.
But I tell you what, man, everybody coming into tonight's game was just saying that there is no way that Frisco's going to beat Lovejoy, and they got it done. 5 turnovers.
It took 5 turnovers to win by 3. I mean, that shows you how good Lovejoy really is, but you got to give all the credit in the world to Frisco tonight for making the plays. 5 turnovers is insane. You see one here.
Strip sack,
returning
fumble.
it for touchdowns. But still, for Lovejoy to have a chance at the end and then get stripped like that at the 25-yard line is just that's a sad way to go. But you're right. What a fun game.
Yeah,
Goodness gracious.
I'm still impressed with Collins' stat line, and Zach, you already said it, but 34 for 54. He threw the ball 54 times. Had 521 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I mean, how big were they down? I think they were down like 3 or 4 touchdowns at one point.
Yes.
So they've got to throw the football. You're going to have big numbers, but they were executing. I mean, they really came back and made a push in that late in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. Like you said, Kyle, unbelievable job by Collins to even put him in position to have the chance to win.
Well, and then you look at the Frisco defense, able to hold true that final drive, but also look at the Lovejoy defense, putting up a 0 in the fourth quarter against this Frisco team that had their way early in that football game. It was impressive even to just keep that one close between those two squads. Let's go across the tollway to Toyota Stadium, just down the road from us here at the Star. Frisco Independence and the Knights, 34-21 over Frisco Centennial, and the Titans as Independence locking some things up district-wise for District 5A. And, man, this was a good football game from the very beginning, but Frisco Independence putting up 20 points in the second quarter. That's exactly what happened, and they took advantage of a couple turnovers, had an offense that stood up, and then also Logan Brungard, 111 yards on the ground in this football game. Braylon Braxton with a couple touchdown throws.
And Logan Brungard missed the second half of this football game.
Really?
He left the game due to a concussion, was not allowed to return. So for Frisco Independence, I mean, that's why you see Braylon Braxton, all of a sudden his rushing yardage just spike.
Yep.
They don't have their best running back. Braylon Braxton puts the team on his back, says, that's all right, I'll carry that load. Big job there by Braylon Braxton.
Independence now won the last 3 meetings against Frisco Centennial. That's a team that in their first win, after losing the first 2 meetings between these two, put up 74 points against Centennial in 2016. Not as much offense in this one, but another big-time win for the Knights.
And Independence now plays Highland Park next week with the win after the Little Elm loss.
Dang, that's a
that
tough way
sets
to
up
start.
Independence versus Highland Park. Yeah, it's a tough football game for the Knights, but you know what? I think they can compete for a while with Highland Park. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Braylon Braxton, I mean, sophomore quarterback. He played like like you said, he put the team on his back. He did everything but he's not playing like a sophomore quarterback.
No, not at all.
Isn't that amazing when you look at Stowers, who's a sophomore quarterback as well, the maturation process between these two guys.
Preston Stone.
And the way that they're playing.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's a lot of young junior Bo Hogaboom. We're seeing a lot of these underclassmen.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the thing is, like with Braxton, you just see the balls that he throws. He's just laying them in there, dropping dimes.
Yeah, a couple of those throws were right on the money. Absolutely incredible. But let's move to 6A now. Garland, Lakeview, Centennial, and Garland, Naaman Forest. Heckma, I know you've been keeping an eye on this game, but it didn't necessarily go well for Mrs. Heckma's Naaman Forest Rangers in this one, as they fall in quite a dramatic fashion to Lakeview Centennial in this one.
You got to love those Naaman Forest uniforms, though, guys. I mean,
orange
look
on
at
green like that?
orange and green, huh?
I'm into it.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about it, but I tell you what.
Looks like a weird Miami.
Yeah, that's a
Eric
little.
does love Miami.
Oh, that's
Miami
true.
guy.
That's why he's into it.
That's a little different. But I will tell you this, man. Naaman Forest had everything to play for tonight, and they did not come in and play for it at all. Sophomore running back for Lakeview Centennial basically just took over this game and did not. They closed the door and didn't let them back in. So Cameron Wheaton, is the guy that I'm thinking of, the sophomore running back for Garland Lakeview Centennial. They just dominated and never let them back in the game. Naaman Forest scored 7 points first quarter. Didn't score again to the third quarter. It was over.
That makes sense, man. They've had those moments throughout their season where they forgot that scoring the ball was actually the point of the game.
Oops. 41-14, the final score there. We'll move on
That's
to...
such a jerk, I know.
He's a cheat.
man.
I'm sorry.
We're going to move on to District 3, 6A, and this is a quick final score, but I think we need a patented round of applause for Haltom and the Buffaloes.
Mike Black.
Undefeated
Mike
season,
Black, baby.
as they defeat San Angelo Central on the road. Not an easy place to play. 50-33. Michael Black with a big-time game as Haltom puts up a pretty impressive amount of points on a pretty good Central defense. Let's
First
go to
undefeated season since 1997. They play Arlington Bowie in the bi-district round of the playoffs. Good
I was a year old whenever they were
Oh,
last
my
were
goodness.
undefeated. Irving, MacArthur, and Flower Mound. This was a closer game early than we thought about, but MacArthur, who came into this game 2-4, looked a little bit overpowered toward the end, guys.
Yeah, man, and MacArthur came into this game. They were already eliminated from the playoffs going into it, so they were playing for pride, and they did a great job of doing that. They stuck around. They got out to an early lead, and then Pierce Hudgens decided to show up, and boy, did he ever. He was absolutely dominant, over 200 yards rushing, 226 to be exact, 3 touchdowns. The dude was just Mr. Everything. Blake Short came out of the gates early, threw an early interception, bounced back for 290 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. This Flower Mound team's a good one, man, and it actually showed quite a bit to get down early, having a little adversity. You don't necessarily have to have this game if you're Flower Mound. You already know you're playing Geyer next week, but you come out there and end up storming back from down 14 early in the game. That's impressive. The one guy I do want to shout out for Irving MacArthur, Gabriel Sanders, coming into the game. He needed 147 yards to eclipse 1,000. Well, he did it. 184 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Mr. Sanders, feel good about that, brother, because you're the only one on that Irving Mac offense all season that was really just dominating.
Yeah, he was. And Flower Mound goes through that district undefeated, a pretty tough district as well. And Flower Mound going to their first playoff appearance. We've said it enough for the first time since 2010. How about Jesuit and Plano East? And this one did not go in favor of you either, Zach, as Plano East takes care of the Jesuit Rangers. 58-44 was that final score. And Plano East just getting some momentum heading back into that playoff race, and Jesuit season comes to a close.
Yeah, disappointing season overall for Jesuit coming into the year. They were one of the darlings. A lot of people thought with Kevin Schumann, E.J. Smith, and it really was their defense. I mean, Heckman, you talked about it earlier. That was their Achilles heel all year. They just couldn't stop a nosebleed this season, and there was no difference tonight. The offense was stride for stride with Plano East. They had it 51-44 late in that fourth quarter, and then Brandon Mallory, a 50-yard bomb to Josh Allison, Mallory's 5th touchdown of the night, finished with 323 yards through the air. He was sensational. He has been all year. I mean, he really is the guy for Plano East. This is an East team that started 5-0. They lost to Allen. All things kind of fell off the rails, but they were able to right the ship here late, win a couple district games, finish 8-2. They're in the playoffs, so a big win for Plano East. But for Jesuit, E.J. Smith, another outstanding season. 2 touchdowns tonight. He was the team's leading rusher and receiver.
Man, he's definitely been, like you said, I think you said earlier, he was worth the price of admission, right?
Yep.
Worth that ticket to go to a game, but unfortunately Jesuit falls real quickly. South Lake just absolutely dismantles Keller Timber Creek. No surprise there. 57-13 was that final score as they really just took it to Keller Timber Creek. The Colony and Little Elm in District 5A. That's a game where Little Elm tried to hang in there early, but the Colony was just way too much. And that brings us to probably our game of the night. Parish Episcopal and Argyle Liberty Christian. Didn't mean a whole lot in the TAPS ranks, but Argyle Liberty Christian winning on a punt return for a touchdown in an absolutely wild finish to this one, guys. We talked about it at length at the start of the hour, but man, have you seen a game like that where on a punt return with 21 seconds left, Argyle's able to just take it back and win that football game all the way to the house on a risky play nonetheless?
Yeah, they gambled on it. Heckman called that earlier.
Yeah, that's one that you look, man. You better score with it. you won't be on the punt return team anymore.
And if you're Parish, you got to be wondering if you even regret playing this game, because they didn't have to. This was an open one. They decided, let's go ahead, let's get a 10th game in, and then Parish now going into the playoffs with a loss, not feeling great about themselves.
Definitely worth another look. Let's look at it here on the Fan Tag Cam. Final punt of the game. It's 28-28 at this point.
Get away.
Yeah,
get away.
This.
Whoop, got it.
Took it in the middle.
Like
Peter, some defenders.
Two guys
house
right
call.
there.
Yep. How risky was that? But it ended up paying off. I mean,
Caleb Culp. At the end, tied the game. Look, this was both these teams, really good football teams.
Yes.
And for Parish, we know all about Preston Stone. They did their best, but to lose it like that's a heartbreaker. But for Argyle Liberty Christian, you've got to just be – tonight's a fun night. Tonight is a fun night to win that way.
They end up punching it in with 2 seconds left. And we talk about offense. We talk about defense. But special teams can win and lose you some football games.
Oh, absolutely.
All night long. How about Princeton and Frisco Reedy? Princeton, you talked about it earlier, trying to outsmart Frisco Reedy.
I thought they might be able to, man, but they couldn't happen.
It's not the Ivy League Princeton, Eric. It's Princeton High School.
Wait, what?
It's not the college.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not where Jason Garrett graduated.
This is on me, guys. I apologize. I got Ryan Fitzmagic on my mind.
He's a Harvard guy.
Is he? He's an Ivy League guy.
They're all the same,
yeah,
right?
All the same.
So back to what we're talking about here. Foskey, my guy. Foskey. He did it again, but still it came down to the legs of Mike Ferreira. Ferrari Mike, as I call him. He put in work tonight, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns to ice the game.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we'll go from one blowout to another in the 6A levels. How about Saxe and Rowlett? Saxe and the Mustangs undefeated in district play inside District 10 6A. And, man, they do it again today against Rowlett, which was the number 2 team in that district. And they secure their 3rd straight undefeated district title with that 48-0 win. And, wow, just an unfortunate game for Rowlett. And Guy Frazier was on the scene. He got a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Saxe Mustangs after the win. Actually, we do not have it yet. We'll try and get that in a little bit. We'll talk about this first for a second, though. Really, the first-round playoff still to be determined for Saxe, but the way that they've been playing through district play, you have to be kind of scared of the Mustangs at this moment, guys, right?
Ripping through, man. They've been absolutely outstanding, and it's been a team effort. They've played great defense. They've got a variety of weapons on offense. They're going to run the football. That's a marriage for success. And for Rowlett, with the loss we mentioned a little while ago, even though Heckman picked them to win this game, by the way, they got shut out at home. They will have to play Allen next week at Allen. So for Rowlett, it's not looking too good. That was almost more importantly than winning this game. It was don't lose, because if you lose, you have to play Allen, and everyone knows, hey, get me away from Allen if at all possible.
Yeah, the thing about Rowlett that has just kind of making it maddening about them is the fact that they dominated the early part of the season. We were looking at them in some of those rain delay games, preferably the Rockwall game where it never got played, and we were like, wow, if that game got played, whoa, man, Rowlett have had an opportunity to put everybody on notice. Not so much. Some of the losses that they had coming down the wire, the one surprising loss to Wiley. They lose 42-28.
Yeah, that's because Donovan Ollie's a stud.
Some of that too.
Rashad Dixon's pretty good too.
Some,
he ain't bad.
Some of that too. But at the same time, to go in and not score anything and completely just get dusted by Derrick Rose in the Saxe Mustangs. That's what happened to him.
What a revival for Derrick, man. What a last couple of weeks for Derrick.
Scores 55.
The whole Rose family.
And he goes out and he balls for Saxe.
Riding
on the football field.
Yeah, and you look at the last 2 games for Saxe and the Mustangs, it ended up being 48-0 tonight against Rowlett. But last week they defeated South Garland 55-0. So they haven't given up any points since they played Lakeview Centennial a couple weeks ago whenever they gave up 38. Well, that is no more because that defense has clamped down for the Sachse Mustangs, and it's just been really a fun team to watch. Let's move on to Carrollton, Ranchview, and Carter really quickly. This ended up being a very good football game. Carter had to hold on really all the way up until the very end. 15-14 was that final score, despite 4 turnovers from the Carter Cowboys here.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, this is one of those games. It was a slugfest. You could tell by the score. 15-14. But obviously, Carter pulls it out.
Anytime you can have 4 turnovers and win a game, you got to come out of there feeling good.
And this is another one of those games where the loser, it was a battle for the 3rd spot. Well, now Carrollton Ranchview, they've got to open up with Argyle. Tough by-district game. And then Carter, they're going to go ahead and play Paris. So that's all locked up for their playoffs from the by-district.
Well, they knew how to win to get away from that debacle.
Yeah, no doubt.
Listen, we're going to turn the ball over 4 times.
Who is Tito Bice? I don't want to know. Get me away from Argyle.
Yeah, it's like Allen, just like Argyle.
Absolutely. In
Man.
4A.
You do not want to play the Eagles right now the way that they've been playing, especially after their win tonight against Salina. How about Lake Highlands and Richardson in District 8 6A? Another big-time win for Lake Highlands as they continue to roll. District win number 5 now for Lake Highlands, 63-35, that final score, and another 4 turnovers there for an opponent. Lake Highlands, again, though, just kind of running through some things, 600-plus yards of total offense.
Yep. Yeah. Lake Highlands just dominating this game, 4 turnovers, and that's really all she wrote if you're Richardson.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Moving on to Mansfield Summit and Mansfield Lake Ridge. Man, this was a bit of a football game. 7-6A is where we take this one, and Lake Ridge ends up winning it late in that football game. They kind of held on to that slight lead for most of the game, but really at the end is where they were able to just kind of clamp down on that Summit offense.
No doubt. It was the Chandler Rogers show, where it should be. We've talked about it. Lake Ridge, as long as Chandler Rogers is at quarterback, they've got a shot to beat anybody. We saw it on the road against DeSoto earlier this year. Summit had to win to get in. They lose. SGP is in. They get that 4th and final spot in the District of Dune 7-6A. SGP, they've got to play Duncanville. That hurts. But for Lake Ridge now, they are co-District 7-6A champs with Cedar Hill. Big accomplishment for Lake Ridge in their first year, moving up from 5A to 6A.
I mean, think about it, man. Lake Ridge, they come in tonight. Not a lot of people doubting that they would get this game. But just think about that Cedar Hill game that Rogers went out in. It was close. It was knotted up 17-17 at the point that he went out. So
could have won an outright district title.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, hey,
I
like the thought.
They beat DeSoto. Literally Lake Ridge has had a great season.
They're state title contender.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if they can get everybody healthy at the same time, I agree. I think state title is where Lake Ridge needs to be looking at, because if they can get on a little bit of a run, then things can go. You know how high school football can kind of figure itself out. Looking at some of these other final scores, Mesquite and Longview. Longview takes down the Mesquite Skeeters. 55-24 was that final score. Another big win for the Longview Lobos. Let's go to Red Oak and Seagoville. Oh, my goodness, Red Oak. We talked about this earlier. Wow, they were able to put up some numbers against Seagoville in this one, guys.
Yeah, they smoked them. I mean, it literally, the numbers are there. 493 total yards. They held them to -4 yards passing, 4 turnovers. I mean, 65-0. Did they pull out the mercy rule on this one? Because this was not even close.
Yeah, man, that Red Oak defense is just incredible. And they've had a really good season, a really consistent season. The only team they've lost to was South Oak Cliff. They lost by 10 points. And we talked about earlier, that's basically a moral victory right there for Red Oak. I mean, that team has had a really, really good season, and tonight's no different.
Nah, tonight is not different at all. Richardson, Pierce, and Skyline. The next game that we're going to look at, this one in District 8, 6A, and Skyline holds on just very tightly, 28-21 that final score. And once again, Skyline under the radar, 6-1 in that District 8 6A as they get another win here tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? This one came down to the wire. A furious comeback by J.J. Pierce. Skyline stopping them from a go-ahead 2-point conversion attempt to conserve the victory. So Pierce, they go ahead and they score with 1:33 left. Bo Brewer runs it in from 4 yards out, and then the 2-point conversion held off by that Skyline Raider defense. Velton Gardner, we talked about it earlier, Heckma, an outstanding night for him. Really 210 yards on the ground, threw for $172. He was outstanding, but a big win for Skyline to hold off Richardson Pierce.
Man, how did Duncanville ever get through that district, man?
Such a good
How did they get it? They walked through it. That's
crazy.
how they did it.
Hey, they had to fight tooth and nail, man. That's a tough one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about a district of doom right there, Heckma.
Oh, man. So much sarcasm being thrown around the studio right now. Woodrow Wilson and Lancaster, our final highlighted game in Week 11. Let's give you a Friday final of that one as Lancaster ends up rebounding after their win, or after their loss on the road against Highlander Stadium and Highland Park.
District is harder. Is it Duncanville or Highland Park? So, I mean, I think that's what that came
fair.
down to.
That's fair.
Lancaster is in Highland Park's district.
It is.
Right.
You're dang right.
There's
And
Sunset in their district. There's Samuel in their district.
So is Mansfield Legacy. I think all those teams are probably better than Skyline.
They did play Lone
and
Star
Pierce.
this week. Or, I mean, not this week, but this
Earlier
season.
in the year.
Nonetheless, 650 yards of total offense from Lancaster.
Big time.
Hey,
Trying to keep you guys on track here.
They are the real deal, and you know what? It's good to see them rebound after a defeat on the road against Highland Park. They clean house right there with a big win over a solid Woodrow Wilson team.
It is a decent Woodrow Wilson team.
They had nothing to hold their head down about. I mean, literally, they ran into a Highland Park team last week that was completely just better, more prepared, better coached than them. So, you know,
hadn't lost at home in a million years.
Come on.
That's exactly
Or
right.
is it 2 million?
Might be 3.
It might be 3 million years.
We're still
now.
counting.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. Let's go to some of the 6A scores from around the area that we have not talked about just really at length yet, but a lot of scores around the area. Zach, take it away on the 6A scores that we're looking at here.
Yeah, so Hebron, they needed to win to get in. They did it. They absolutely blow out Irving 52-13. How about Byron Nelson? After
Another
being
big win.
0-7, they go ahead. They win 3 in a row to end the season to make it 21-17. That Mansfield Tiger team are able to hold off and get a win over Green Prairie 9-0. A tough year for them, but to go out on top. And then how about that? You see Mesquite Horn and Tyler Lee, Heckma?
I do.
Mesquite Horn, 0-7. They win their last 3 straight district games. They win 55-41 tonight. They're in the playoffs.
That's unreal.
The Horn Jags, Heckma's preseason darling, picked them to beat Allen week 1. They looked atrocious, but they're in the dance, baby.
You know what? I have no words for that because I have been suffering with the Horns for 7 games, and then the turnaround started with Rockwall Heath.
Right when you jumped off the bandwagon, right?
My weight must have. Once I jumped off, they gave them enough to go
Sprung them to victory, baby.
Catapult to where they needed to go.
Wow. 3-game win streak, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. LD Bell, of course, at the bottom there. Another tough loss for LD Bell. Just not the season that they wanted.
And Keller, a big win over Central, and Keller now gets to play Louisville in the first round. That's a good matchup there in the bye district.
Fun matchup. Eric, what are the 5A scores we're looking at here?
Well, the one that really sticks out to me is my Justin Northwest Texans putting it on Fort Worth North side.
I like it.
I'm still a little bit frustrated, though, just as an alumni. When we had to play against all the really, really hard teams, and they're out there playing Polytech every other week. I mean, it's killing me.
Shots fired.
But, yeah, look at the 5A here. I mean, Creekview falls to Newman Smith, Battle of Carrollton there. Legacy, 56-0 on that Sunset team that Heckma was slandering just a few minutes ago. Yep. Sulphur Springs falls to Forney. Kimball dominating Conrad. And Ennis. And I know you've been a little partial to Ennis this year.
I like
Kyle.
Coach Harrell.
You do.
I like what he's doing there.
Nothing not to like about Coach Harrell and that Ennis team. That's an Ennis team that comes in, like you mentioned, with Coach Harrell. They were running like wing T, your grandpa's offense up until this year. They come in now. Harrell's offense is that Texas Tech, spread them, throw it. It's a lot of new stuff, and they've really grown as the season's gone on.
How about Kimball not having any hangover after getting beat down by South Oak Cliff last week?
Yeah, that's impressive, too. I guess there's no such thing as a South Oak Cliff hangover.
No doubt. And Legacy. You know, the way the Legacy's able to fought off all those injuries, they'll open up the playoffs against Frisco Lone Star. So, my goodness, preseason, if it was Legacy Lone Star, I think we'd all be
in that game.
We'd all be juiced for that one.
Holy smokes.
Oh, man, that would have been absolutely incredible. I don't even think that would even be a matchup, though, if Jalen Catalan might have been a part of that team, though.
Really? Lone Star's pretty good.
I don't know. We'll have to see. But you look at some of the highlights that take us out of Week 11 of Friday Night Stars real quickly. Eric, who's your star of the night?
Oh, it has to be Marvin Mims for Frisco Lone Star. My boy had 4 receptions for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving. He also threw a 47-yard touchdown and had a punt return for a touchdown. The dude's a magnet for the end zone. Marvin Mims, you are a star, brother. Zach.
I'm going to go with Bo Hogaboom. I mean, Argyle, they're absolutely killing it. But how about Louisville's defense? 11 sacks for the Fighting Farmers. They deserve some love, too.
Hey, I'm going to go with Mesquite Horn, the whole Mesquite Horn team. Thank God. 0-7, finally get in with 3 wins. Come on, guys. Let's run the state off after that, right?
Oh, man. Lots of fun on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. My star of the night, as always, is our incredible crew here from the Star in Frisco. Do want to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Friday_Stars, on Instagram at Friday Night Stars _ at the end. Like our Facebook page and everything. This has been a Game On Sports Productions, but for Chris Beam, for Chance Williams, for Matt Kent, and Fred Garner, who are holding down the fort in the control room, getting things done here from the Star.
Fred.
For Eric Chiafalo, for Zach Wolchuk, for Heckma Harrison, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Week 11 in the regular season for Friday Night Stars is in the books. We'll talk to you when playoff time is here in Texas. So long, everybody.